Welcome back to lesson 48. In this lesson, we're going to look at one-step equations. And here's my criteria for success, the things that you're going to look for me as I do them, and any teacher would look for in your work to show that you understand today's skill and that you're a master at this skill. Okay, so here's the first thing you're going to look for. Look for how we express the situation as an equation with a variable, not just an expression, but an equation. There is a difference. You're going to look to see how we use inverse operations to isolate that variable. We're going to look to make sure in your work you can see that whatever operation you do to one expression, you do to the other. Or as I was always told, whatever you do to one side of the equation, you have to do it to the other side. And finally, that we're checking our work with substitution and we're using that solution in the original equation. You'd be surprised. There are so many small places where we can make tiny little errors that take away from our work, and we can catch them. We can totally catch them. We slow down. So this is one way, just by substituting and checking our work. Here's our first problem for today. Ray and Hunter sell newspapers after school. Ray earns $110 less than Hunter. If Ray earns $256, how much does Hunter earn? Express this problem as an equation and solve the equation. I told you the very first thing you're going to look for is how we express that situation, and that's really the problem. Can we create an equation and use it to calculate how much Hunter earned? Here's what we know. We know he earned $110 less than Hunter, and we know Ray earns $256. So the first thing I'm going to do is translate the relationship between Ray and Hunter's pay. I'm going to put that into words, and then I'm going to translate that into an expression with R standing in for Ray and H standing in for Hunter. Then we're going to substitute those given values and solve for the unknown. So hit pause so you can jot this one down into your notes. Ray's money is equal to Hunter's total minus 110. So let's write that as an equation. Whatever Ray has minus 110. We want to turn this part into a zero pair so that we're left only with H. So we're going to add its opposite. And now this goes away because that will make it 0. And it's not that it just goes away, it's just I've added another amount so that the value is 0. So now I'm left only with H on this side. But remember, whatever we do to one side, we have to balance out to the other. And that gives me $366 is equal to H. So after I do that part, I do want to do a check. And we said that Ray's amount is equal to whatever Hunter has minus 110, so we're going to just sub those parts in. So 256 is equal to 366 minus 110. And yeah, that's true. That is a true statement. All right, so perfect. We have our equation. We have what Hunter has in his amount, and let's just write that down. Hunter earned $366, which is $110 more than Ray's 256. All right, math marbles, we're going to hit pause so you can jot this one down into your notes. Let's get a little bit more practice with these one-step equations. And again, our goal is to isolate this variable. We want this by itself, and we're going to do that by creating zero pairs. So the first place to create zero pairs is any place you see a constant in your expression. So in this expression, we have our variable and we have our constant. We're going to deal with this constant. I'm going to add its opposites. When I do that, negative 32 plus 32, this is going to create a 0, is only leaving the A on that side. But to balance this out, whatever, you're going to hear this a lot, whatever you do to one expression, you have to do to the other expression. And that leaves me with 79. A has a value of 79. Before we were doing expressions, A could have any different answer we can plug in. We can do any number we wanted. But for an equation, only one number makes this true. And in this equation, the only value that makes it true is 79. So we're going to check this. We're going to go back to our original formula. And we're going to substitute 79. And we're going to see with both of these expressions, are they equivalent to each other? Okay, so 79 minus 32, 9 minus 2 is 7, 7 minus 3 is 4. So I end up with 47 is equal to 47. This is a true statement. So this is correct. Hit pause so you can jot this one down into your notes. And we're going to try one more with a one-step equation. This time we have a coefficient. We have 15x is equal to 165. So if there was another number here, so if this was just x plus 15 equals 165, we would create a zero pair for this. We would subtract 15 because this would make 0. However, we don't have any constant here. Instead, we have a coefficient. So we have to do something different. We are still going to isolate this variable. And we're going to use an inverse operation. Instead of multiplying, how would you rewrite this? With division. Now the great thing about this is, think about this. So if we divide 15 divided by 15, what's left? Just 1. A number divided by itself just leaves us with 1x, which is what we want. We want just 1x left over. Most of the time, we just write it like this, x. We don't even write the 1 as a coefficient. We just leave it as x. So these two, it looks like we're canceling it out. All we're really doing is dividing it to leave that number 1, to leave 1x, which is what we want. So that's a big idea concept. But can we leave it like this? Nope. Because what did we say before? Whatever you do to one expression, you have to do to the other. So don't get caught on that part. If you divide one side by 15, you have to divide the other side by 15 as well. So I'm not going to use my calculator for this one. This is simple enough. 15 can't go into 1. 16 divided by 15 is 1. And 15 divided by 15 is 1. So x is equal to 11. And as always, just get into that habit. Let's check our work. We're going to check and substitute. 15x is equal to 165. So substitute 15 times 11. Notice I'm putting it in parentheses so it doesn't look like this. Because that happens. We make very silly mistakes when we're doing a lot of math and math that we're used to. Is equal to 165. And now all we have to do is simplify what is 15 times 11. 15 times 1 is 15. 15 times 1 is 15. Yep, 165. So 165 is equal to 165. This is true. So Math Marbles, one thing we're going to look for, and I'm going to have this as a final note, when we see a coefficient, when you see a coefficient, we're going to use the inverse operation, which is to divide. Okay, so for our one-step equations, when you see a coefficient, we're going to divide. And when we do that, we're going to be left with just 1. We're going to isolate that variable down to 1. When we have a variable and a constant, we're going to create a zero pair. And we're going to create a zero pair by adding its opposite to it. And that way we have, again, just the variable. And last note, just make sure you're checking your work by writing the original equation, substituting, and just confirm it. There's no reason to get something like this wrong. Just confirm that you have the correct answer before moving on. And that's it for today's lesson.